Hi, my peeps. I recorded the first part of this message and then I realized it wasn't recording. So, Mercury retrograde pro shadow, we're not falling for it. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about discernment and healing. Learning what the reality of healing actually looks like versus what distorted and opinionated views of healing looks like. First thing I want to say is that no human on earth is perfect, okay? Ain't none of us that's living, breathing, and walking right now perfect. Nor can we ever be. We're human. And God doesn't call us to be perfect. He calls us to be righteous. And being righteous is simply walking in achieving to be in alignment with God's plan and God's spirit. With that being said, that does not mean to continuously make mistakes, continuously delay things, continuously let other people's opinions affect you, and that because your mind is saying that you're moving in righteousness and that you're aligning yourself with God, that is the reality. Because the reality is, when you are actually making impactful steps towards your healing and aligning with God to be the spirit that He put you on this earth to be for His kingdom. Sorry, y'all. Something out of my eye. I think it's a piece of hair. But when He does that and you continuously make the same mistakes, it comes to a line where you have to then be honest with yourself and tell yourself that while that is what you're thinking, that is not what your actions are reflecting. You can think that you're walking in alignment with God and that you're doing your best. And I'm not knocking that you're not doing your best. But the reality is, we get sent trials and tribulations to learn lessons. And if you don't learn your lesson, you will continue to get a trial and a tribulation, one and after the other, until you learn it. And what I see a lot of the times is people will pass the trial, people will pass the tribulation, and then when it's time for the test, because they're different, the trial and the tribulation is not the test. The test comes after. And whenever it's time for the test, you will often self-sabotage. And then you get back to having to recognize the mistake that you made and prepare again for whenever the test comes. And it's like, people don't recognize the reason why God gave us willpower. He gave us willpower to make a choice. You dictate what your reality is. You dictate what you do and don't do. You dictate what you do and don't discern. You dictate what you feed your mind with, what you don't feed your mind with. You dictate your own actions. And it's like, I see a lot of people who will excuse giving themselves grace and excuse having grace to continue to make mistakes, to continue to hold themselves back, to continue to self-sabotage, instead of pushing through the uncomfort, pushing through the self-doubt, and acting. And it's like, you can thank God for forgiveness. You can thank Him for the strength, thank Him for the wisdom, thank Him for the understanding. But if you were not utilizing it in reality, it really doesn't matter. He sees you thanking Him, but He also sees you not using the discernment. He also sees you self-sabotaging every single time that you're put in a situation, every single time that you're faced with an obstacle. And it's like, you have to learn to be your own teacher. It's like in school. God's going to give you all the worksheets, all the homework. And when it's time for that test, it's on you to pass it because he gave you everything you needed and more. Because that's just the God that he is. He's amazing. He does exceedingly and abundantly more than we could ever think or ask for. So it's like, okay, if that's who you have in your corner, why are you not utilizing that to the best of your ability? This is coming from someone who is literally homeless and unemployed. I don't have my parents' help. All of my help comes from people that God sent in my life to be a light, to aid me in my journey. And I had to get to a point with myself after I made my attempt, like, the hardships are always going to come. The hardships are always going to come. Even whenever I pass the trial and tribulations, even whenever I pass the test, they're still going to come again. Everything that you learned in school throughout the school year was then put on a midterm. Everything from that midterm was then put on a final. Just because you passed that test didn't mean that it was over. And that's the same principle. Like, everyone is so caught up in semantic these days and the details of the situation instead of the principle. And it's like doing that will get you caught up in missing what God is actually trying to show you and grow within you. Everything that we experience is a way for us to continue to grow ourselves. Every time that we do something when we don't really know how it's going to work out, but all we know is that God has gone before us, that is you testing, improving your faith. You making up your own solutions and you doing everything in your power to make something right, it's only going to push it further left because you're not discerning. You're not praying to God before you make the decision. You're not taking heed to what he's actually saying. You're not clearing that voice in your head that has been dictating your entire life while you were unhealed to be able to make that decision wisely the way God has ordained you to do so. And it's like, we live in 2026 now. If you're still blaming your parents, if you're still blaming your circumstances, if you're still blaming what you do and don't have on why you're not where you want to be, then you really need to take a look in the mirror. You really need to get on your knees and pray. Because it's not about you being where you want or you feel like you need to be. God's going to put you exactly where you need to be and exactly where you want to be at the right time because his timing is perfect, not ours. His plan is perfect, not ours. His guidance is perfect, not ours. So it comes to a point to where you just have to look at yourself and say, like, when am I going to get out of my own way? Life is going to be life, and sometimes you may be at the pit of the bottom of the pit. Look at Joseph. He was thrown in the pit, made prisoner, and he still fulfilled the promise of anointing kings. All by his own brothers. So you have to understand that you are not unique. Your circumstances, the semantics, the situations is not unique. What's unique about you is your spirit. What's unique about you is your journey, your intellect, your revelations. And only you can discover that. No one else can discover it for you. Literally, no one else can discover it for you. No one can do life for you. No one can take heed and act on the promise and the purpose for you. Only you can do that. And God's not going to let you do that if you've already shown that you can't even be trusted to learn the lesson. If you've already shown that you can't be trusted to steward what he's already given you. It's time for us to start living in reality and not in the opinions of other people. Misery loves company. The energy of being miserable is very contagious, and it will latch onto you if you let it. So don't let it. Everything is much easier said than done. But at the end of the day, guess what? It gotta get done. God said it and told you to do it. He didn't say it was gonna be easy. He didn't say it wasn't gonna be hard. He didn't say you wasn't gonna be crying. He didn't say it was gonna be all rainbows and sunshine. No, he said that you are to do it and you will be successful. Everything you need dwells within him. He has already gone before you. Okay? So, now that we're in the second half of 2026, let's leave letting the situations and letting the details dictate what we do. You are your emotions. You are your thoughts. If you can't get control of your emotions or your thoughts, you're not going to go far. Because that's the base. That's the foundation. The foundation of your growth is taking heed and discerning your emotions and your thoughts. Because they're going to continue with you on your journey. And it's not about being perfect. It's about executing. Get up and execute. Yes, you'll have days where you don't feel like doing it. Yes, you'll have days where you just sit and wallow. That's human. But it better not be no seasons, no months. Get up and move through it. As someone who struggles with depression hits sitting targets easier than it does moving targets. God said no weapon formed against you shall prosper. He never said that it wasn't going to be aimed at you. He never said that it wasn't going to be released onto you. He just said it won't prosper. So you either trust him or you don't. Because you can't trust yourself. I'm going to say that right now. You're human. You can't trust yourself. Like he said, lean not on your own understanding. For a reason. Okay, I hope y'all really receive this message. I really want to see my brothers and sisters doing literally excellent things this year. Because God is showing up for us so strong, y'all. Like, I don't think y'all understand the season and the time that we're in. God is calling his people. The children that he has chosen and touched on this earth, he is calling us. And it's time for us to answer. It's time for us to take heed. And let our past be our past. We are born into a natural world, but we are spiritual beings at the end of the day. So, let God's Spirit guide you. Let that be your reality. Not the reality that you create in your head. I love you all. I'm always praying for you all. Come back. Next video. Who knows what God will put on my heart to say that time. But show up better for yourself. Honestly. And if you can't show up better for yourself, show up better for God. Because he deserves it. He's more than deserving of it. Alrighty? Alrighty. I love you all. Stay safe. And until next time, be love and be light.